Please join me again in Gasho. I'll read a passage from the collected works of Shinran. Persons who aspire in the present existence to attain birth in the Pure Land should unfailingly strive with all their heart, whether walking, standing, sitting, or reclining, to never abandon the Nembutsu, day or night, throughout your life, to the very moment of death. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Dabutsu. Namo Dabutsu. So thank you again for coming this morning and for this opportunity to give a talk today. I'd like to talk about the three little words that we hear so often here. And I've said these three little words along with you each week here at Temple and often in the intervening days between. They are, of course, Namo Amida Butsu. It might feel different for you, but for me, no matter how often I have repeated these words, the meaning and significance behind them has always felt just out of reach, as if it's there, but I just can't grasp it. I first encountered the words Namo Amida Butsu when I came to the Seattle Betsuin, and over time I've come to have a technical understanding of what they mean. I know that we call these words the Nembutsu, or the name, and that they are derived from Sanskrit, and they can be roughly translated as I take refuge in Amida Buddha, or homage to Amida Buddha. I also know that Amida is the Buddha of infinite wisdom and compassion, or immeasurable light and life. I even understand that when we say these words, it's a way of bringing the infinite, or the Tathagata, or Amida into our space, a way of making something that is unknowable known. But what has always eluded me is the power that I have heard resides in these words. Again and again, I have heard that the Nembutsu is all that we need, and that our whole practice can be condensed down to even a single utterance of the name. Our founder, Shinran Shonin, insisted that the Nembutsu should be the central object of reverence on our altar. I have seen many of our finest teachers break down in tears of gratitude when they talk about what the Nembutsu has meant to them in their lives. I have tried to understand that feeling. I have tried to feel that feeling with little success. I just don't get it, or at least I haven't gotten it. I'm giving this talk because I might be just a tiny bit closer to getting it right now, having gone to a weekend retreat at the Maida Center in Berkeley, led by Reverend Dr. Nobu Haneda this past month. His main topic for the retreat was the Nembutsu. Reverend Haneda, as many of you know, is an amazing teacher. When it comes into delving into questions on Buddhism, he's a little like Sherlock Holmes when he's on a case. He reads the larger sutra and Shinran Shonin's writings, searching for clues, and he doesn't rest until he finds the solution. When you arrive at the retreat, he gives you a 30-page handout, which is incomprehensible at first. But after a while, you realize that what he is doing is carefully constructing his case, looking at the problem from all the angles and anticipating your questions at every turn. And at the end of the weekend, there is an aha moment when you finally feel like you get it. Unfortunately, as you all know, those aha moments are short-lived when it becomes to an understanding of Buddhism. And within a few months, the realization fades and leaves you with a dim recollection of understanding something, but not quite remembering what it was. So I thought I'd give this talk when the aha moment about the Nembutsu is still fresh in my mind. I am not, of course, Reverend Haneda, but I'll try to give you some semblance of what he said. He began his discussion by explaining why we don't really get the Nembutsu. We don't get it because we can't see it. And we can't see it because we're looking in the wrong direction. According to Reverend Haneda, we spend our lives looking up, climbing some invisible ladder towards happiness and success, both for ourselves and for our families. Up and up we climb, trying to get to what Reverend Haneda calls the plus values in life. These are things like peace and money and confidence, purity, goodness. We measure our lives by the number of pluses that we are able to accumulate. While we're climbing, we try not to look behind us at the minus values that are trailing along. We think that we're leaving them in the dust, what with all this climbing, but really they're stowed away in a little backpack and never leave us no matter how high we go. These minuses are things like failure, impurity, anger, shame, and sadness. What we fail to realize, and what Reverend Haneda really drilled down on, is that the minus values are actually just as much use to us as the plus values. These are the things that give us our humanity and make us real. They give our lives meaning, and ironically, the process of turning around to examine them will ultimately lead us in the direction of the Pure Land. This sounds odd, I know, but that is the essence of Buddhism. Buddhism is a study of what makes us suffer, and it is only by turning around that we can identify the cause of our suffering and therefore find a cure. So what we really need to do in life is make a big U-turn and stop being afraid to climb down the ladder. And the key to making this U-turn is the Nembutsu. Namu Amida Butsu is the only thing that has the power to change our course. Now, in order to understand the next bit, you'll have to use your imagination. Feel free to close your eyes. What Reverend Haneda asked us to imagine is that just adjacent to our world of up and down ladders is another world, a world to the west of us. This is the world of the Dharma. It has many names: the Pure Land, Dharmakaya, Shunyata, the Infinite, and the Other Shore. We never see this world because we are so engrossed in climbing upwards. But it's right over there, just to the west, towards Puget Sound. Because we never see this land, we assume that it's impossible to access. We assume that there is some kind of invisible wall or divider between our world and the pure world, sort of like the parallel universes that we read about in science fiction novels. If you stay with this analogy, remember that there is usually, in science fiction stories, a tiny portal that allows things to go from one side of the universe to the other, or from one universe to the other. Imagine that the portal in our invisible wall is just the shape and size of a tiny gift box. We can't see it, but some force in the Western universe is sending a constant flow of tiny gift boxes over to our side. These gift boxes are from Amida Buddha. And if one of them accidentally bumps into our side, and if we stop looking up for just a moment and open it, inside we will find Namu Amida Butsu. Imagining this was kind of my aha moment. It explains what makes the Nembutsu so powerful and precious. Namu Amida Butsu is coming to us from a space that we cannot access, sort of like when an astronaut brings home a rock from a distant planet. Suddenly that rock becomes as valuable, or maybe even more valuable than a piece of gold. And the value in the Nembutsu lies in the fact that it can change the direction of our lives. It might not happen the first time a box bumps into you, or even the 1,000th time, but the boxes will just keep coming, and eventually we will open one and find that it contains the key to nirvana. Before I conclude my talk, there's just one more aspect of the Nembutsu that I wanted to bring up. And this is the question of why our most important teaching should come to us in the form of a name. As a way to answer, I'd like to read you a passage that I came across in an article that we read for our book study group by Kaneko Daiye, where he talks about why names are so important. He writes, "In the beginning, Mother Nature was nameless. Human life came into existence when names were given to things. Human life becomes meaningful only at this point." He goes on to say that there are two ways that we refer to a thing. The first describes what the thing is in general, like the word cat. The word cat might bring up a picture in our minds, but it's not a specific or real cat. The other way we refer to something is to give it a name. When I say my cat's name is Mario, these words point to the reality of my cat, and my cat alone. His name is what makes him him. Thus, reciting the name of Amida Buddha is what brings the reality of the Dharma into our lives. So as we sit here each week and say Namu Amida Butsu, imagine that you're opening a small box sent to you by Amida from the other shore. And if we all keep that in mind together, then the value of the Nembutsu will become apparent in our lives. After all, gold is just a rock until we recognize that it is gold. Please join me in Gasho. Persons who aspire in the present existence to attain birth in the Pure Land should unfailingly strive with all their heart, whether walking, standing, sitting, or reclining, to never abandon the Nembutsu, day or night, throughout your life, to the very moment of death. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda.